best value? Chopping away the road, putting 1.5 inches, putting 2.5 inches?
We put the bid out and, you know, everyone should be following it. Some do, some don't. Can't, right,
Well,
can't control
The
that.
bid says paving.
Yeah.
Oh, we can have one do that.
No, we didn't specify. I don't think we did. I think we did. I think we specified 2 inches.
Yeah.
Well, you
Yeah,
didn't, when,
I thought we
what
did
you
too.
gave me didn't say, it just said paving, and I asked you.
Again, you wanna go out and get an engineer and give you specs, we put out the specs from an engineer, but you gotta wait 6 months to get the damn specs out of an engineer, so we have to look at that as a project you're gonna be able to do at a much later date than what we're looking at today, which is basically taking care of the problem.
Well,
Yeah.
from this point forward.
From this point
I'm
forward,
saying,
sure.
we should- I would hope we could somehow formalize it so at least they're talking about the same thing, so we know which one is a better value. It's really hard the way they did it. I don't know if there is a way, I'm just asking.
Well, it's the same thing with the curbing, basically I
Mhm.
gave them the curbing as being just the length of the street.
Mhm.
And basically you ended up with the same length of street with 4 different bids, the same length of street. One street is 1/10 of a mile long, the other street is 0.11
Right.
miles long. All they do, that's all they did.
Mhm.
This is the street. Come in, look at it, and give me a quote, give me a bid. And we gave them the maps and we sent them out with it, so.
What did it cost to do the curbing down by Bowley's house around that bend? That's what they're saying, that cobblestones instead of curbing like that, correct?
Yeah, well,
Just the
that was
project
combined
alone.
though, that had drains and that also had curbing
Yeah,
and paving. So
it was-
it was over $28,000 for
He paid
everything.
for his.
Inspection, yeah.
Wolsey is not, Wolsey corner Chestnut. Chestnut in Washington, right?
Right, well, is that Bowley? Bowley, is that
No,
not Bowley?
Bowley is the other one. We haven't even. That's
You're
Walnut.
talking about Walnut?
Yeah, well, that new curb they just.
Dr.
put in.
Bowley.
Yes, Dr. Bowley.
Oh,
Yeah,
I thought you said.
So there was more like an itemized bill where they did the curbing and the sewage, they did, I mean. they
There's
just
one
did
bid,
some-
it was for drains, curbing, paving,
Okay.
taking everything out.
But just getting back to what you said, I think the other factor is we want to try and work with Brookhaven because of that grant project.
We do.
that we're working on. So that I would say that we're all, you know, they're competitive, we should go with them, and then it's just an issue of the curbing. So then we just take a look at how we want to proceed with the curbing. I mean, I don't.
Well, one Belgian block's gonna look better, no doubt,
I agree.
okay, and it's the cheapest, so that's what I say. we go.
Yeah, I agree. You know, occasionally we have something knock a little loose, it's not, I think it's like a major issue. It's cheaper and it looks good. I think it's good.
The repairs are nothing compared, it's more money to top out the drains.
Yeah. I agree with you.
I mean, David does a lot in one day, so, you know. Okay, do you wanna do Washington? Can't wait for these numbers.
Okay, Washington Street. Basically, we have 2 bids for Washington Street paving. Basically, that is a bid for 570 feet of Washington Street, 500 by 25 wide. Goes from the current paving at John Fry's driveway south to just past Birchwood Avenue, about 10 foot. That's 570, that's what I measured. All right, Town of Brookhaven. We'll mill and pave 2 1/4 inch for $17,686. Grazie Paving, which is the gentleman that did our bid for our potholes and didn't get it. Their other bid on that paving was 570 by 25, 1.5 inch compacted macadam, $22,220.
Those are the only 2 bids you got?
Those are the only 2 bids we got on the Washington Street
What was
side.
the depth of the first bid?
2.5.
2.5 and
2
1.5.
1/4, excuse me.
2 1/4 and 1.5. Because, you know, Washington Street is a whole other story compared to Sharon or something like that. It's the main thoroughfare is structure. I would say that the depth, I mean, if we're not talking about huge amounts of additional money, but
No, it's actually cheaper.
It's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cheaper. Are they gonna do it at the same time that they would do Sharon? Well, we don't know.
If we can coordinate, here again, you have to coordinate
1,000 cheaper.
the curbing for both Sharon and Highview. Once those jobs are finished, then you're looking at the paving coming in on top of that. If we're utilizing the town of Brookhaven for the paving on those two streets, we'll do Washington at the same time because they're using the contractor that is currently working on a job close enough to us physically to get the stuff in here. Okay, as a matter of fact, the contractor they use is Laser. They made a bid for us and we laid out our whack.
Okay.
Are there
That's
any,
what they'll do. We have to coordinate the Belgian block and then have the town come in immediately afterwards if we give it to the town and do the paving. And what they'll do is they'll pave those two streets and Washington all at once, all on the same.
are there any drains in Washington at all? Any, it's just down at the very bottom?
Washington Street drains,
Yeah,
just at the bottom.
Just the bottom, right?
And up by me,
Right.
yeah.
So, I mean, that's another,
Harrison and up at the top of 25
is there any way down the road they could put drains in there, just to stop the water from everything accumulating? Because you're getting Walnut, you're getting Birchwood, you're getting just contributaries which are making the whole situation worse.
And you got the pipe coming out of Cedar which runs down
Right, I mean, is that something that,
Chestnut.
are you throwing good money after bad? Why, I mean, is it worth it to hold off on, maybe put drains in where you want to keep on doing that, or?
That's a big project.
It is a big project. Well, I'm just asking, I don't know, I mean.
Well,
is
it wouldn't be in
curving?
this year's budget. We could look
Right.
at it for next year's budget.
And your drain budget shot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I figured that, but I hate to see him.
Just the paving now.
Oh, just food for thought. Because it just seems like there's, once it's done and a year later, they're patching it up again. That's all.
That happens all the time because
Yeah.
of evil. Yeah, you end up with that all the time. You get water under there and you end up with evil. So, ice.
Yeah, no, I just-
Big bamboo.
Yeah, I forgot, I just wanted.
Although if you look at the area from just at John's driveway down on Washington
Mhm.
Street, that's held up gorgeous. That stuff is, solid as a rock. And we'll be abutting that, if you're enjoying that one, and coming up.
Right.
Okay, so town of Brookhaven. Okay, number 11, trustees park at Walnut Beach. So, before August's meeting, everyone should go take a look at the tennis courts, so we can discuss them at the next meeting. The handyman has said that the water faucet at trustees park and the water down at Walnut is probably, this is the last season for both of them. He kinda got it to go, but we should look into how much it's gonna cost to replace them. And maybe replace them next spring, just for the new season, but we should get that going, okay?
What
And,
does he think we need to do to replace them?
well, the water faucet, he said, completely
Oh,
has
yeah,
to be
yeah.
redone. And down at the beach, he just thought it was time to redo the pipes, the shower head, he thought, and, a little better system than what we have down there
Right,
right
so
now.
just creating it out of copper pipe and.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
We don't have to do that.
No, he has plastic, PC.
Right, I think they're running
Yeah.
PVC to hose.
Is the hose, Bob Anderson, like, put them like 16 years ago, we put a hose, and it was just a last minute, I mean, just.
Well, there's a shower head now,
Yeah.
so, but it's falling over, it's not, so
Yeah,
it
yeah,
thinks it
yeah, I
could be
mean,
a better
that happened with
system.
the storm a couple of years ago, it was just, it was shot.
And there was a request that, they want to know if they can get chairs down at Walnut like we have at Van Brunt Manor Beach. I don't see why we can't price them out like we did for Ken, get 4 chairs.
I can pick them up.
We got
at,
them from Ace,
We
right?
bought them at Ace.
Yeah, so, okay.
Were they get Adirondacks over there?
Yeah, they have,
Yeah.
I think they have 4 of them.
Plastic got it on there.
Mhm. They held up good, we've had them now, what, a year or 2 now?
We
So-
pull them back out. Yeah, we took them off Van Brunt at the end of the winter, it's the beginning of winter, we store them here, and then we put them back out there. So we wanna do the same thing, we'll do the same thing.
Mhm.
I pick up 4 of them, and go for 4.
4.
4.
I think the person they sent me, it was Poquott, he sent me a thing from Ace, I think they were $16 or $17.
I don't remember the exact price on them, but they're not that expensive,
Mhm. Okay.
like.
You
And they
have-
come in a variety of colors, we just walk in and go to their back room and pick them up.
Okay, you have, any other?
Yeah,
Anything else with that?
just getting back to, I guess David's recommendation regarding the plumbing and whatnot. Before we spend any kind of money refiguring what he's considering there, I would like to put on the front burner now an effort to, you know, we have these different plans about what we could do to improve Walnut Beach.
Mm-hmm.
And there are some ideas that I think could be done incrementally, and I think the big picture, and I told you that Mike and Rich and I were down there and just trying to think of some things. And one of the issues was to kind of move the beach back a little bit, remember, which would affect, if we're going to do plumbing and water over there, I'd like to just think about that, because you know, probably looking ahead, there's a time where we could use some CHIPS money for that road. And I could talk to you about it, but I don't think it's really time here. But just the idea of a little at a time to make the beach come back a little bit with a grassy berm that would stand up, and then sand. So we could do some of that. One of the issues, and I would invite anybody who's down there to look at it, you know, that's the cedar rail fence that goes along the side? Well, if you stand there and look at it, it curves to the right as you're looking at the water. If you were to just extend that straight out, you have a much nicer and wider beach. And then if we were to, you know, bring the sand back and whatever, we could do that. I mean, the big issue was going to be the repaving the street and having it drained and making sure that we can, you know, as far as the wetlands next to it and everything like that, that's where it gets into money. And maybe we could get grants from various environmental grants and tie into it, but runoff certainly, because we'd have to put the other two down there. But in the short run, we could make that a more useful beach. It's not even useful at high tide. I mean, high tide now comes all the way up.
Right.
So
I agree, I think
To
that's.
make a place that gets flooded permanently, so it wouldn't.
yeah, I mean, it's gonna in a storm, you're gonna always have it goes all the way up. Right, yeah. But we could make it so that we have a beach that doesn't totally get wrecked in a storm. But during the summertime, at least there's more beach, and if you straighten out that fence, we could just do it really, and just kind of sit in that corner.
What could you use as far as the wetlands? I mean, I know that.
There have been, I had my eye on 2 grants last year, and then when I went to meetings about them, it didn't qualify. There's always some technical.
No, we're saying, can we encroach on a wetland like that? I mean, I
Well,
know
part of it
it's
is,
something talking
part
about
of
for
it
years.
is, it's not, really not wetland, in fact.
Like, is that the result of just drainage?
Yeah, when
You know,
it is our drainage for that area.
Right.
But it's, the DE said, oh yeah, and they got all excited if we were to have cut it through to the harbor so that it became a natural.
That's what happens, you see the beach just washed out, it goes behind that wetland and then it goes.
Yeah, but
cuts out the
we don't
beach.
want that.
No, I know, I know what you're saying.
But there are things out there, we just have to write when to come along, but we know the CHIPS money is now for the road. And so we could do certain
Well, we
things.
could spend next year working on that.
Yeah.
I remind you guys, we do not own
That parking lot,
that parking lot.
that's,
I don't mean a parking lot.
I mean, the
The
turnaround at the
road,
foot
yeah,
of,
turnaround.
foot of Walnut, we do not own it.
We,
We
all we
stop,
do
we
is
stop, we
just,
stop at the gate.
that belongs to the one up in the bungalow,
You
so.
own 15 foot along the left-hand side of the, where the fence is.
and then further out, to the left.
15 and then 15 this way.
Right, but we don't, that's not the, I'm talking about coming back, not left and right. We can expand to the left as you're looking at the water. That's not our property.
Now, you're on the beach then, you're not gonna be able to get permission to do it on the beach.
Well, we don't know that. And that's what I'm saying, that we can start to explore that. But I'm just saying, again, just
If you're
as
paving,
far as doing stuff like plumbing and whatever, I just would like to put this whole idea out there so that people can weigh in on it, and we can, because I think incrementally, I mean, if we were to just say, all right, we're gonna do the beach project, it's gonna cost us a lot of money, we would have to have these grants lined up, but there's work to be done now, and I think in the short run, we could improve that area, and then, just like a shower, just pull it back a little bit, it doesn't have to be right at
Right.
the corner. And we could do certain things so then in anticipation. The thing that I like about it is when you stand there and you envision it, if you go to that, you have a much greater view. Because right now, the view is very narrow, looking straight this way. But the real view is as you look basically towards the channel entrance, you have many more degrees of view. And would be, and if the beach, instead of being this way, looking at the water, was this way, looking out, angled forward, it would be a nicer beach.
Is there any way, like, I know you're talking about as far as the beach disappearing, because I mean, since I've been here, it's been, we put sand down there. Is there any way to contact the DEC? I mean, just to avoid any further,
Oh, of course.
is there any way we can do
That's-
something instead of sitting there trying to do this,
Of
like, let's try to
course.
see what we got
You
and.
can't do anything down there without having the beach.
I know, I'm saying, like, maybe,
But-
what if we
Before
do,
we
any
go ahead,
methods, yeah,
improve the road.
instead of, yeah,
We
stopping
we-
improving the road.
well, Rich deals with DEC. Mike has recently dealt with the DEC in a couple of projects. And he said they're very reasonable in certain things, and certain things they say, no, I can't because of the reasons. But for something like this, it's not technically a wetlands, and we're talking about basically maintaining, we're not affecting the beach, the shoreline.
Well, I don't care about the wetlands, we're just talking about just keeping the beach from disappearing more, because sooner or later, it's gonna be in the parking lot.
Yes.
I mean, it's gonna turn into what California.
That's what I was
I
saying.
mean, you're sitting at high tide, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's really,
So I think the time is now to really put it on, I mean, I hate to call it an agenda because we're not talking about agenda in these meetings, but to put it out there so that we can plan for it. It's probably a multi-year process.
it is.
But in the short run, we can do some things to start moving forward with it. As long as we have some sense that the DEC and the other people are going to.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, like, if maybe they know what we can do, because instead of just not knowing and just saying, look, this is
Well,
what
we
you gotta
would
do to preserve a beach, because it's, like I
You
said.
want-
We're not gonna
And
do
they have to
anything.
leave, so do you wanna do your stuff
If
first?
I may, years ago, we had a permit for replenishment in both Walnut Beach and California Beach from the DEC. This goes back to Mr. Cambridge's day, back in the late 80s. It was a 5-year permit that we got from the DEC, which was why we were able to go down there every year and drop 15 truckloads of sand on both beaches. So you have to go back to the DEC now with a plan from an engineer as to what you want to do there, how much sand you're going to put back in there, and go for a permit.
But, yeah, and the process may have changed many times since the 80s, but I'm saying that we should start talking about it now. We should start to have some idea of what can and cannot be done by talking with the DEC, by getting all these, you know, something to actually scour the books for grant money that be tied into the drains and all. And we can use that money to fix, you know, putting in drains, we're going to raise the road a little bit to work with the drains, have it tilt backwards, which means that we get an opportunity to fix that road that's always going to be damaged
Mhm.
and be slowly.
Yeah, I think it's a big project, though. I think it has to be multiple steps, so we can do it. Okay, do
Actually,
you wanna-
Laura from GEI has been down there when we
Mhm.
were doing the tree study, and she has in her mind what can be done. If you want me to go.
I'm not sure, is she, I think as far as trees, or is it,
No.
there's a second?
As what can be done down at the beach to move the beach, to clean up the beach, take a look at it,
Okay,
and to get grants.
okay, sure. I mean,
I'll give you, I'll send you her phone number.
I have it.
Oh, you have it?
She had promised me something, so I
Okay.
requested it. She
Call
didn't
her up,
respond.
call her up, she
did.
already,
She didn't respond.
okay.
We'll skip 12, we'll go to 15. So do you wanna talk about the ZBA's request
Sure,
and
so I have a
violations?
couple of things. So the first is that we have hearings at the ZBA, in particular, occasionally the planning board, where we get testimony from neighbors, testimony from the applicant, and we really should be recording that testimony, because otherwise it just, you know, gets lost. And Joe takes great minutes, but he can't take verbatim. And so we have, I'm making the ZBA has a request, and I'm asking that you please consider and approve it, that you allow the ZBA and also the planning board, and this board too, if you need it, to have a stenographer basically for hearings. And there'd be a per page charge. Generally, I think the per page charge is fairly low, and then there's a small, if it's at night, there's a small attendance fee. What I suggest you might consider doing is to have a 1-year agreement with somebody. It's not, you know, it's not a binding contract. It's like on call, basically. You know, just to keep somebody on call. So if you know that you need you have somebody you can call to get here. an agency, and we could do it by procurement, you know, our procurement policy means you get a couple proposals.
And they had, Karen wanted to have whoever's application was in to pay for it, correct?
Right, and then, I'm sorry, I left out the most important point, the fee, the charge will be fully paid by the applicant.
Which would require addendum to local law.
Mhm.
So, it's in the state law, but we could add it to our code too if we want.
Okay.
As
Do you wanna
judges-
do the violations for it though? Do you have this list?
Sure.
Okay. I don't know if you have that list, but I have the pictures.
So we have, let me just talk about them? Yeah, so we have,
We'll be approving them.
what happened is we have, several of our violations that got to court were turned away by the judge pending the review process that's required by the notification process that's required by the Board of Trustees. And we had talked about this too when we talked about the property maintenance law that we adopted a couple months ago, that we would try to, you know, give people plenty of time.
Should we do this when we do the resolutions, go through, look at these?
Yes,
Okay, you know what, then I'll just pass them around then, okay.
if that's okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, so my only input is that, I've gone over these, this is the stage that you're getting at tonight basically is the beginning of the process. You're just letting the people know that you think that something needs to be done by them basically to, at the property. And it enables us if the, you know, if whatever it is, construction's not completed, weeds aren't cut, you know, whatever, each property has a different issue. One Oak has a couple things, as an example, garbage, that's a garbage situation there. You know, if this is a reminder an administrative reminder to the people that they have to do something, and give them a period, directing Frank and his staff to send out a notice, and then if it's not taken care of, then we would start the process. We would be able to start the process.
Okay.
So, and then, you know, willing to listen if we send a notice out and, you know, the people have a time period that they can respond to. So, but this is, you know, I just want to assure everybody, this is administrative only. It's in our code. Our code has this like extra step of notification that we do. And that's what this is about basically. So it's everything from an unmaintained pool to work that needs to be done. There's a house that's not secure, a deck that's not completed, overgrown weeds, things like that. So
Okay.
all things I've gone over with Frank.
So, I know that you have to go to anything.
Would you mind if I could please speak, please?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I
Okay.
appreciate it. Congratulations, good luck.
Thanks a lot. Take
Nice to
care.
meet you. And if I'm available by phone, if you need to call, like if a question comes up, I can be reached.
Okay,
Okay,
perfect.
thanks.
Joe, the last thing is the request from the Poquott Community Association, do you want to read it?
Dear Mayor Dean Clark Newfield, please consider a request for the village to pay for the tent and dumpster for the lobster bacon cardboard regatta on August 5th, 2017. Poquott Community Association appreciates your consideration. Thanks, Deirdre Cronin. The Poquott Lobster Bacon Cardboard Regatta will be held on Saturday, August 4th, rain date Sunday, August 6th. It'll be at California Beach. Cardboard boat regatta is at 4, dinner's at 5, etc. They are looking for a tent and the dumpster, because when you come with a cardboard boat race, you gotta dump all those cardboard boats. You usually get a small 5-yarder or 7-yarder, and you dump the cardboard.
We've done that last year, we did the year before, I don't see an issue with it. I'll have them
But,
contact Chris
yeah,
Ryan to see if
we
he
have
wants to do that.
Again, you have to basically piggyback that in with a village function.
Yeah, they're gonna, I think Deidre said that she was gonna contact Chris Ryan about doing photos.
So how much are you talking about?
I don't know, did they say the amount? I didn't see the
No, I don't
request.
have any amount.
Oh,
The last time we rented a tent, it was what, $1,200?
yeah,
Although I think this one here is only half of that.
right, I think she only asked for half,
There's a-
right?
Yeah, there's a party being held on Sunday that's gonna utilize the tent. Deirdre Cronin's sponsoring that, and that person's gonna pay the other half of the tent fee. So if it's 1,200, it's 6 and 6.
Just say what again? I missed that.
There's a party on the 6th.
By who?
We were
It's
under
on
the,
the Deirdre
we
Cronin.
budgeted a certain amount,
We did.
so
For
I just was.
California Park.
What party?
Deirdre Cronin is having a party.
Personal.
Personal, yes. Resident is having a party. And she has requested permission to use California Park.
We should
If
promote that.
if the tent is approved, they will pay 1/2 of the tent because they will use it the next day.
So we're really paying 50% of the
Yeah,
tent
no,
then?
that's good. I mean, in the future, if we're gonna have, one organization or another is having something down there with a tent, and we chip in, we should probably promote that if anybody's having a family party of some kind, that.
They pay some towards the tent the next
And they
day.
get, well, they get a great deal, and of course, we save
Piggyback
money.
in on it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, now, Deirdre just knows about it.
Well, we have, you know what, we have the organizational meeting on August 3rd, we can approve the amounts, but why don't we email her and ask her what the amounts are? Okay.
I feel very uncomfortable without the attorney here. It's not the way I understand the law. I understand the goodwill and what the intent is, but I don't think that we're allowed to pay for people's private parties or private tents. I think the law says
Well, we're not.
that. I think, yeah, but you're doing it backwards. You're filling in the village for filling in because they're having an event. Somebody's asking a week before to have an event for the village. That's not the,
No,
No, that's not what happened.
You're getting it
Yeah,
backwards.
exactly.
well, what happened?
She's
First I'm hearing of it, so.
Well, it's on Facebook, she's sending out emails, okay, and
So
this is the
she-
first meeting we've had in 3 weeks, because we've been
The
sued.
request was
So-
done a month ago.
Yes.
What request? For the tent?
Yeah.
Request for the park.
For the park, not for the tent or the chairs.
No, but we had talked
And not
about
for us to
we had
spend
talked
that
about
money.
We're not
we
paying
weren't
for
at
chairs
those
or
meetings.
tents.
But we did have, this came up in conjunction with the cardboard boat race and the lobster bake.
Correct.
So, and we had passed the law last year that we would contribute, but it had to be, there was a cap on it, and it had to have
It's first come,
a
first served for
village
the
function
events.
attached to it if we were gonna help out any community organization. So.
But I believe I
That was
would
what we
have
passed.
liked to have asked the attorney.
We can ask,
Fortunately,
Well,
he
all
just
this has
left.
already been taken care of. So the issue that you're raising is something.
What, August, what do you mean, August?
the
What I'm
issue-
saying, excuse me, I don't wanna, what I'm saying is the state allows something to happen. If the village has an event, it's all planned, and something comes along and somebody wants to use it, secondary. This feels to me like it's first going to lobster bake, and we're doing something to fill in backwards. And I'm feeling uncomfortable without the attorney telling me that we can do that.
Well, okay.
But then again, don't worry, I'm only one vote,
right,
so I'm just letting you know. I think
First of all,
backwards.
it's not a community, it's not a village event. This is the Poquott Community Association
Right,
who's running that lobster bake. This
Right.
is,
that's what I'm saying.
this is something that we actually passed a resolution, I think it was at the end of last summer,
yeah.
that
And we'll be
we
passing
would
that.
help out a community-wide activity down at the beach to a certain extent, and we put a dollar limit on that. But we put also on that caveat that it had to have some community, Poquott community aspect to
Village.
it. Village, like, so we've had displays with pictures and we've done different things that it was to promote, community.
Okay.
So we already passed that resolution, that part of it's already done. So for this one, they had asked, they've been planning, it's been promoted, and so we're just doing our part, we should say, yes, we will contribute the X number of dollars. Now what is happening is we have a private resident saying, as long as you have that, can I use it and I'll pay you half? And I see that as being a win-win all around, and to the point that I'm suggesting that in the future, we should actually say to people, if you're thinking of having a community, a private party, family get-together down at the beach, and we have a number of those, and it's great that people use that. We are gonna have a tent if you want it and you're willing to contribute to it, you're gonna get a great deal, and we get it.
Is
we
that
get a
tempered
savings.
24 hours or 48 hours? I mean,
Well, we
is it
can,
staying-
the note, how
You
we
drop it- they
define
drop it
how
on
we're gonna
Friday,
do
they
it
pick it
is.
up on Monday.
That's the way it just,
Yeah.
across the board, that's where it
Right,
is.
but it's there. So if somebody says, hey, if you're gonna have a tent there, I'm gonna have a party, can I use it? And we say, sure, and she's gonna chip in a couple $100, why wouldn't we do that?
What's the village, what event is the village having?
They contacted Chris Ryan about doing photos again.
They have
Yeah.
contacted Chris Ryan. So the village not involved in it?
No, it's not a village
It's
event,
not a
it's a
village event.
Poquott News Association event. Right,
Okay.
but they had a meeting, and we were at the meeting, and they told us that.
Oh, okay, fine.
If you have questions about the legality, I've.
Yeah, that's how
what I have.
legality if somebody gets hurt like the
Again,
next
we can't
day.
do it on August 3rd.
Well, I mean, at the private
Oh,
party?
yeah, like the private party, if something happens, is the village responsible anyway? Joe, how did we do that in the past with the Civic Association, when we used to have the fish fry? They
Same
supplied it anyway, right? Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The same thing. The same thing with.
We gave them
private
permission to
families.
utilize the park,
right,
they paid the fee, and
right.
they had the insurance.
Didn't it, okay,
And so,
And we-
and with family
They
things.
cleaned up afterwards, and we gave them back their deposit.
right.
Yeah, with family events, that when they reserve the park,
They do the same thing.
we do the same thing, and they just, you know. So,
You know,
but, you know,
Lonnie's family party.
I don't have a problem with
It's,
having Joe weigh in,
salad.
just to make sure, but I don't think there's any problem. You have a
They use
reservation.
maybe-
As I said, I'm not gonna make an issue out of it, I'll just vote.
Yeah, we don't even have it, they just have, we didn't put it on as a resolution. So, we can, it has a resolution pending what, the village attorney says.
Okay,
Okay, that way at least we have time to order it, and then we can approve it at the next meeting.
okay,
Okay.
so, are you okay with that? Pending the attorney saying that, to answer your question.
Yeah, no, if I have the answer from the attorney, then I'd be okay with it.
Well, you will, we're not gonna do it until we get the answer from the attorney.
That's what we're saying.
Go ahead. I mean, I'm not,
All right, this is
you,
an example of what we're talking about. What specifically are you looking for that would satisfy you? What is the issue, and what do you want us to do?
well,
Don't
I
say,
just
"Well,
feel
I'm gonna-"
uncomfortable voting in any way for it until I understand from legal counsel that the way it's been presented, we're allowed to do
Okay,
by state
so
law.
that's,
So what we're-
they're agreeing with you, and we're saying it's okay, we're gonna have contact Joe before we do anything further.
Why don't we have the attorney here now, though? Why did you,
Yeah,
Because
go.
we had another meeting.
then why do we have a meeting if the attorney couldn't be here the whole time?
We have meetings that people come and go, things happen.
I would suggest.
You'll
that
say you were 15 minutes
No, I
late, you
know.
will wait a few.
I would
But that's
suggest.
what I'm saying, we had it later, or?
Or 20 minutes late, whatever you
It's a
think.
don't say-
Shame you didn't think that this was next, and you said wait 5 minutes, but you didn't, so
No.
what can we do now?
May I
We can
suggest-
ask him.
Yeah.
May I suggest we I put out the word to him regarding this whole thing with a copy of this, and ask him to give us his opinion
Yeah.
legally.
That's
Ship it to
fine.
each of us, you know, put it back on the list.
Okay.
So my question to you is, if we do what we're saying, is to get Joe, contact Joe, find out what Joe.
Then I'll be happy with it, I'll be glad to do it, but I'm not
Okay,
voting
that's-
for it until
okay.
I get that.
Okay.
I'll be glad to do it.
I'll put out the
Yeah.
to him tomorrow night.
Thanks.